maybe that's how it ends, and then all of a sudden it goes black. That's like, go Pack, go!
Yeah, go Pack, go! Well, yeah, Aaron Rodgers agrees, right?
Jeff Janis he's like, thanks for mentioning me.
Yeah, well, this guy. Welcome, guys, to the first episode, possibly, maybe more episodes of Let's Talk Pack. This is kind of a podcast where me, myself, and Roy, who is my best friend here, talk about Packers. If you kind of think about it, this is two fans. Me being a Packers fan and Roy being a Packers fan. We just like talking about football, and we're kind of like not the X's and O's people, but we are just two fans that really love the Packers. So I'll kind of go into who we are at first. So I'll let Roy introduce himself first before I go there.
Yeah, so hey, my name's Roy. Like Hal said, I'm a big Packers fan. Basically born and raised from Neenah, Wisconsin, and ever since I can remember, grew up watching the Packers. First Packer game was against the Buccaneers back when we were still in the Central Division. So it's been a long time running, and just love it. I love the Packers, and Hal and I, we love to go to at least one game each year. Sometimes we make it to 2 or 3 together. Yeah. So, yeah.
I became a Packers fan back in 98. So when the Packers got to Super Bowl 32, I had never seen the Packers lose a game, ever. Never lost a game. In my head, I thought the Packers are undefeated. And then they lost the Super Bowl. And that traumatized me as a kid because I've never seen the Packers so dejected ever. I saw Brett Favre walking off the field, just head down, and just didn't look happy at all. And then that made me become even more of a fan the season after that. I watched every game, and I actually recorded all the games on VHS tapes. Now, for those of you who do not know what VHS tapes are, they're just video cassettes that you just put into a little VCR and you just hit record, or you can hit play and you can record it as long as you want. I think I recorded like 4 hours each game on it. But yeah, I became a fan, and ever since then I've become a fan, and I love the Packers. They give me kind of a feeling of, when they're playing, they give me the feeling of that's my team. Like no other team gives me that feeling of.
Are you an owner?
I unfortunately I'm not an owner.
I'm not either. So
no.
But when you say it's my team, I still feel like that though. I still feel like they're my team.
Yeah, and that's the thing here in Green Bay. We don't have an owner. We have owners. Basically, the community. You're a stockholder. You can buy stock, and you can say legit that the Green Bay Packers are your team. Unfortunately for me, I don't have any stock in it. Hopefully at some point, shout out to the Packers. If you are having any more stock sales, please let me or Roy know, and
that'd be great.
We'll be happy to invest in their team. Unfortunately, we can't be GMs, and that's one disadvantage is if you're an owner, you can't really be the GM,
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that anyways. So.
Yeah, and you wouldn't want me being the GM because if you watch me play Madden and everything and play on franchise mode, I basically make the dumbest trades and reach for the dumbest players, and then the team just downfalls from there. So you really don't want me to be a GM there.
Yeah, in Goody we trust. So
yeah, in Goody we trust. Shout out to Brian Goodkins, who's doing an awesome job actually as a GM there. So we'll kind of dip in here. I know that it's really, really hard to talk about because, it was an awful game to watch.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Terrible game to watch. But the Packers losing to the Jets, the first preseason game, 30-10. Yes, you heard that right, 30-10. If you watch maybe the first 5 minutes of the game, you kind of knew the direction this game was headed for the Packers.
Yeah, I felt like they didn't even make an effort to rebound. They just kind of kept stumbling and falling, and next thing you know, it was the end of the game, and it was 30-10. It was quite awful.
Yeah. Like I talked about first 5 minutes of the game, you have Jordan Love in the first team offense. They get the ball first. First drive, automatically you got 3 and out. 3 and out. Multiple drop passes that first drive. I think Romeo Doubs had 1 drop pass. Actually, maybe 1 or 2 of them. But that was a concern actually heading into the season, the receivers. I don't know about you, but I think that there's a concern amongst the receiver group about drops. That's something that came up late last season, I feel like.
It did. And, they were, I think it was the top 5 in drops last year in the league, which was pretty bad. And that's not a good top 5.
Yeah.
And this year, obviously, we're only in preseason game number 1, but there was a lot of drops and it was consistent. I don't know what to tell them. I'm not a receiver. I don't get paid to do that, but yeah. I wish that they would all maybe learn how to meditate a little bit.
Right. Relax a little bit.
Yeah. So I remember a few years back there was Quay Walker who got ejected from those games at the end of the season, and to Jair Alexander, his suggestion, he said, "Why don't you meditate?" And we have not seen an ejection since, but he was able to kind of calm himself, focus, and see what was going on and rebound each play.
Right.
I really think that these receivers, they might need to take that, advice if they haven't already, and just really kind of figure out how to reset themselves when they're out there in the game, because it seems like it comes in bunches. It's not just, 1 drop and then that was it the whole game. No, there was drop after drop after drop from different player. So, yeah, I think it's a big problem that they really need to address.
I think I heard during the game, and I think it was John Kuhn, who was the play-by-play person during the game. He actually brought up a good point. Shout out to John Kuhn, actually. But he brought up a good point about mentally how it affects a receiver when there's constant drop passes.
Yeah.
It plays into your head. When the pass is thrown, like a Romeo Doubs or Dontavian Wicks or even Jaden Reed, it's something they do every single day. But when it comes to game time, that's where it mentally plays with you.
And something that goes with it, you hear of like positive affirmations. I know I'm bringing this down a real hippie path right now, but when it comes down to it, if you say something, your mind really has no choice but to listen to what you're saying at that moment. So if you say, "I got this," so let's say you drop a pass and then you say, "I got this," you are just going to let all those worries and all those things that are clouding your mind, they're going to be gone because you're only focusing on the fact that you got this.
Right.
And that's what the Packer players, like I said, I'm not a coach. I'm not critiquing them and saying how awful they are. I'm just saying this is something that you can do if you say, "Hey, I got this," and then you go out there and you can do it. And It's just like all the worries and all the stuff that keeps running in your mind, it's no longer running because you're focused on the fact that you got it. And you just got to go out there and do it and execute then.
Yeah. Going off that topic, just looking at the stat sheet, which, yes, I have stats right here. Just going off the stat sheet, Jordan Love was 1 for 5.
Excellent. Yeah, that's what we're looking for.
I mean, if you're looking for numbers from your QB1, that is not numbers you want to
Definitely
look
not.
at. 1 for 5. His only completion, surprisingly, was to
Matthew Golden.
Yeah,
on a 3rd and 7.
3rd and 7, a quick slant. And again, Matthew Golden has a bright future, and there has been so much praise around this rookie.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen this much hype around a rookie in a while. And I think it's just because he is a playmaker who can catch the ball. He can run smooth routes. He has the speed to change the game just like that. And I think just judging off the Packers' past draft picks, other than maybe Jordan Love, maybe former Packer Jair Alexander, they've always drafted defense. So you're not noticing that impact right away. But with Matthew Golden, you're noticing an impact right away because he's helping, again, a group that is struggling.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he has a bright future, and it'll be great to see how he does during the preseason.
Yeah, and they keep saying that he makes fast guys look slow. So he looks fast in a field full of fast guys. So I'm kind of excited just to see he had a good catch on that 3rd and 7. It just looked real natural, real smooth. That's a nice short yardage. I just want to see what it's like when he gets out in open space and just hits it in the high gear. I think he's gonna be phenomenal. So
yeah, and just seeing him against the Jets' first team defense, you got Sauce Gardner.
Yeah, he drew a pass interference from him. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and he's an All-Pro. So you're seeing the development of a rookie and seeing already in the first game how he's reacting to playing against top-tier talent.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's doing that against Sauce Gardner, who's probably one of the best corners in the NFL, think about what he can do once he gets more under his foot. I think he's got a bright future ahead, and hopefully this season we see him catch more touchdowns too. Good, bad, and ugly, So I think the good for me would be, again, Matthew Golden. And then there was a running back that I wanted to kind of talk about too, Amar Johnson, who is relatively unknown here in Green Bay. But due to the injuries in the backfield, he got an opportunity to show what he has, and he made the most of the opportunities. He actually had to run the only touchdown of the game.
And a Lambeau leap to follow. He couldn't quite get up there, but Sean Clifford helped him the rest of the way.
So. And again, great play by Sean Clifford too. Yeah, he made a downfield block, didn't block behind, just let it go.
It was close.
But yeah, I think Amar Johnson has with that performance, I think has a good chance to make the team. Coach Matt LaFleur said after the game too that he would get more opportunities. That's earned him more opportunities.
It's a big deal.
And that's a big deal, especially for somebody who is fighting for a roster spot, even if it's that 3rd or 2nd, running back position, even the practice squad.
Practice squad is where I think he'll probably end up if, the other two are healthy as backups. I think that he'll probably end up as the practice squad, and I think that's a great place to be, though, because you can still get called up and you can still play, and you can still learn the system. So
we'll go into the ugly or bad, we can either way.
So if you look at the bad and the ugly, it pretty much all goes together. As soon as the game started, basically until the end is where that section was.
Right. I talked about drop passes earlier. You can also talk about penalties and how that just killed the Packers' drives.
What was it, 7 accepted, but it felt like a lot more?
Right.
Yeah, it was awful.
It was just awful. The Packers at times were just driving down the field, and you felt like they were getting momentum going, and then all of a sudden,
there's a holding call. Instead of being a 1st and 10, now
you're backed up.
1st and 20.
Yeah. And I don't like pointing out specific players, but Jake Monk, I think his name is.
I think so.
Yeah. But he had 2 or 3 holding calls on him, and it was just a rough night for him. He's a 2nd-year player, and I completely understand, though, it's a preseason. You're going to make mistakes. And if you're going to make mistakes,
that's the time to do it.
This is the time to do it, yes.
But the other thing to think about, too, is that this is the preseason, and he wasn't going up against the number ones when he was making these mistakes. And if someone's getting by him and he has the need to hold against a 2nd string, 3rd string, 4th string guy, I don't know how he's going to hold up against their ones.
Right. And that, just testing the depth of this offensive line. Last year, you saw during the playoff game against the Philadelphia Eagles how that depth was on the offensive line.
It was pretty shallow.
Yeah. It was pretty shallow. And the fact that Jordan Love was just getting battered around against that Philadelphia defense. The Packers made it a point in the offseason to build up that depth. Now, you have Jordan Morgan, as kind of like the backup in a way. He's like your main backup. But behind that starting offensive line, there's still questions about who's your backups there. But the good thing about the Packers offensive line, and it's always been this way about the Packers offensive line, is that they are very versatile. You can have Elton Jenkins. Very good example right there. He can play center. He can play guard. He can play tackle. He can play all 5 positions on that line. which is essentially what Jacob Monk is, basically, just a little bit younger and a little bit more inexperienced. And that's what the Packers are looking for, is versatility on that offensive line.
Yeah, it's a good point. And if you're a backup, you don't know if you're going to have to go in and play guard or tackle or center. So it's a big deal that if you can be able to play all those, you're going to, stand a better chance to continue to make the team. And then once you get in there, though, you're going to be able to, be okay playing. So that depth was really tested last year in the playoffs. And even if we would have pulled out that game for a win, who would we have had for the next week? It wouldn't have looked good. So
and then just talking about Coach Matt LaFleur and just after the game, how he felt. He was not very happy with the performance and effort that was put out on the field. And I guess that ties into the bad and ugly here, is that he wasn't happy with the quality of football that was played out there. I think he called it very crappy football.
That'd probably be accurate. Yeah, I'd agree with that. So.
And you could tell how disappointed he was in the team's effort, and just very crappy. He called it sloppy in a way, which is very, very reasonable. You saw how sloppy that game was.
Yeah.
Again, though, we're talking about preseason game number 1. So,
I mean, the good thing is that you can really only go up from here, which is good. But, as a head coach, I'm sure that he's not sitting there doing nothing all week. I'm sure he's coaching these guys up, and for him to see these guys go out there and play this sloppy, I think that was probably pretty frustrating for him.
Yeah.
And for the players themselves. I mean, these players they're no slouch. They're top notch, NFL players, and I think that even as the backups, the depth that we have, they that's not their best performance, and they know it, and they want to do better.
Enough about this. I mean, again, enough about this game. If you were man enough to watch it, or even if you were brave enough to watch this game, like the whole game, I applaud you, because that game was a wreck from the first 5 minutes. I couldn't.
I don't know why I kept watching. I don't know why I kept doing it to myself. I don't watch the whole thing. I didn't get to see the Lambeau Leap live, but I watched almost to that, and I said, all right, I got to go to bed.
Yeah.
So
and this is what you're talking about. 2 very loyal Packer fans who will watch a preseason game where the Packers are just getting blown out. Today we did learn that Jordan Love got injured during the game.
Yeah, we thought, one of the good things about the game was that Jordan Love made it out healthy. It was, great. That's awesome. And then we find out that was not the case. On the sack that he had, it looked kind of awkward, and he got up and I was like, okay, he's good. He's safe. He's jogging back. And then find out that his tendon in his left hand is not doing so good. And they had to go in to get some surgery today.
Yeah.
And he'll be out for at least a week, but most likely up until week 1.
I'm the type of person, though, and this is just me as a fan, I think that preseason, playing your stars during the preseason isn't the best thing in the world, because you do put out that risk out there, that you could lose your play. And one good example I remember is Jordy Nelson. Second preseason game, he's coming off an all-pro season, tears his ACL, out for the season. That changes the course of the Packers season there. If I remember correctly, the Packers went out and signed James Jones, who was a free agent, luckily.
Yeah.
Came back to the Packers and filled in nicely for Nelson, but there still wasn't that impact that Nelson had. Quite frankly, I don't think Nelson was ever the same after that, really. The season after that, he did what I think he may have won comeback player of the year. I can't remember. Yeah. But again, he wasn't as explosive as he was in 2014. He isn't that deep threat.
I can see both sides of it. I also see the side of, it being a young team, and they need to have some sort of cohesion, to get together. And I would like to see them play together a little bit more in the preseason, but that does, like you say, it exposes you to the risk. And when you're doing a joint practice, you can still get a lot of that, emphasis on the team working together, but the quarterback's wearing the red jersey and they're not going to get sacked or tackled. So I think that, like you said, it's a risk, and I think that's why a lot of the joint practices have become very common in the league. But sometimes it is nice as a fan to see them that they're doing okay out there, but I would rather have them in bubble wrap sometimes and just get to the regular season. And if an injury happens then, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But if it happens in the preseason, it really is unfortunate because then the coach is going to be questioned, well, why did you have him out there? And I think there's no right decision and there's no wrong decision. But I think that there's definitely some value in playing out there as a team.
Marshawn Lloyd, we touched on this earlier, he's back. And it's a good sign for him because we haven't seen too much of him. Last season, he was hurt, only played in one game. And he's just had a string of bad luck when it comes to injuries. I think he made a comeback, tried to make a comeback, and then had appendicitis, which that's not fun.
I heard Marcus Eversole, he's on the Fan. He said Marshawn Lloyd is basically practice version of Barry Sanders. He's just excellent out there. He's going back and forth. He's cutting left and all of a sudden going right. And if that happens in the game, I think that'll be really, really fun to watch. So I'm really excited about him paired up with Josh Jacobs. I mean, oh my gosh.
And I think that's what's missing too from the Packers is that 1-2 punch. Because Jacobs last year, essentially Jacobs took most of the carries last year.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Wilson did a nice job as a number 2 back. It's just, you're putting in, every drive I think they were switching off. But Jacobs was like your main back. But if you can switch off a Marshawn Lloyd out there, it'd be that third down back, because no doubt about it, I think he can be a great third down back. He can be that change of pace guy. Josh Jacobs has the speed. Marshawn Lloyd also has that speed, but he can have that speed that's game changing. I think the main thing for Marshawn though is to stay healthy, because you got to stay healthy, and if you can't stay healthy, that's gonna be an issue for the Packers. And there's a reason why they drafted him. They saw some talent in him, and they think that he can be capable of changing the running game for the Packers. So again, key thing there, just to stay healthy. But I think if we can see him on the field more, and fingers crossed we can see him against Indianapolis, we can see what he's capable of, which a lot of people haven't seen. Wide receiver injuries. Our wide receiver room is just decimated with injuries right now. You got Christian Watson, who's still making his way back from ACL surgery. Then you got Dontavian Wicks, who is battling, I believe, a calf. And then Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed is battling a foot injury. So again,
right now... And the thing is, with all these injuries, there's only one that we know the true severity of, which is Christian Watson. The other ones, we don't know. It's kind of up in the air.
Yeah. And then you got Romeo Doubs was dinged up during practice, took him out. I don't know if he returned to practice or not. But again, those are your top 4 wide receivers right there.
Yeah.
Injured.
Yeah.
To a point where people were asking...
Top 4 proven wide receivers. Matthew Golden.
Yeah, Matthew Golden. So. Basically, Matthew Golden's like the last man standing there. That and Malik Heath, who didn't have quite the best game. Again,
no.
Couple drops.
I'm rooting for him.
Yeah,
too,
I'm rooting for him too.
Yeah.
I think he's capable of... he's got the size and speed.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
to be a good.
I'm rooting for them all. I want to keep them all. I want them to keep doing well. I mean, it's a really good group of receivers, and I mean, it's just like you said with Marshawn Lloyd. You got to stay healthy.
Yeah,
and it's not to these players' fault. It's not their fault. I mean, they play football.
Right.
They're getting hit all the time, and so like you said, they're hurt right now. But they just got to come back, and they got to come back healthy and stay healthy.
So we're going to move on here to our preview of the Indianapolis game and what we're kind of looking forward to in the game. Again, obviously, we're probably not going to see the starters. We're probably going to mostly see Malik Willis, the second team offense out there. Same thing with the defense. But what are you looking forward to most and what are you looking for the Packers to improve on in the game against Indianapolis?
Well, what I'm looking forward to most is I really like Malik Willis. I think he's electric, and I just want to see him go out there and just methodically move the ball down the field and score some touchdowns. That's who I'm kind of excited about. But then with regards to the what needs to improve, I'm just excited to see zero penalties, maybe one, maybe two, but I think that 7 accepted penalties is far too much, and that's something that you can control. And I think that when it comes to seeing some improvement in this next game, I think that controlling what you can control, which is not holding on a play, things like that, not doing false starts, not doing illegal motions. I think that's going to be the biggest area just to watch and see some improvement, because you're going to be able to see that. And in addition, just play hard.
Yeah. I think what I'm looking forward to, again, same thing. I'm looking forward to seeing the Packers just limit those penalties and get off to a fast start. Last week, again, within the first 5 minutes, you kind of realize this game is going to waste. So I would like to see the Packers get off to a fast start. And I would like, again, just to see the Packers just limit those penalties, those drive-killing penalties, especially those holding penalties that drive you back 10 yards and you're in the opponent's territory driving in. I would like to see that cut down, because that cannot happen during the regular season. That happens during the regular season, you're pretty much asking, there's very high risk that you're not scoring after a holding call. Like 10, you get pushed back 10 yards. There's, again, a very high chance that you're not scoring that drive. So I would like to see that cut down. Very excited to just see the third and fourth string players, just to see those players that you don't really know, but at the same time you're rooting for to make the team. And the Packers have always been a team to find those rare gems, either undrafted, 7th round, or people don't even think about.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited just to see this depth of this team, just to see how they compete against the Colts. And I want to see, I guess, more effort, because like last game, again, I just felt like the effort wasn't there. It's a very sloppy game. But I just want to see more effort and just a more complete game played. With that, I think, and I'll ask for your prediction also, I think the Packers will win a very close game. I think the Packers will win, let's see here. Let's do 14-13. Very low scoring game. Not the high scoring active offense that you see, but I do think that.
You don't think Daniel Jones is going to light it up?
I don't think Daniel Jones is going to light it up.
Fair. That's fair.
I just think it's going to be a very low scoring game. Again, if you're a Packers fan, if you can watch through it, that'd be great. Hopefully it's not as painful as the Jets game, but again, don't look for too many touchdowns during the game. Just a defensive battle. What is your prediction?
I'm thinking it'll be 17-10 Packers, because I think Matt LaFleur was not happy with only scoring 10 points, and he's going to make sure that more than 10 points is scored by the Packers. So I think 17-10.
Thank you guys for joining us. Again, this is just a test run. I wanted to try this out, but we're just, again, two buddies who love the Packers so much that we love talking about them. We can talk about this for hours. Unfortunately, I don't think that YouTube or anybody would want to hear us chat for hours and hours and hours. If you do, please let us know, and we'll record something for hours and hours and hours. Hopefully we don't put you to sleep, Well,
maybe that's our genre. Maybe we put people to sleep. That's,
maybe if I got like a little, ASMR going on, like I don't know how that goes. I know that white noise makes you fall asleep, but I don't know about you, but
yeah. That's good.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully we do more of these. But till next time, go Pack Go, and
that's right, go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go. Yeah, right. Thanks, guys.